Rolling.
Okay. Excuse me. Good morning, everybody. This is September the 3rd, and it's Friday. And the slaughterhouse of failure is not in our destiny. We will persevere until we succeed. Og Mandino. And actually, we have something interesting today. Dan's going to put up a picture. There it is. And we're going to discuss something from here. I think before we actually go into it, which Dan's going to start, but I think we'll take just 30 seconds to absorb that picture and everybody think a little bit what that means. And then Dan's going to put his take, I'll put my take, and it would be good if anybody else wants to opine about what they see with that picture. So it's taking just a couple of seconds there on that. And then, Dan, whenever you're ready.
Yeah, so this is an interesting picture, and I look for inspiration in different ways and different forms. And when I saw this picture, it made me think of taking a quantum leap, right? And so, one of the things that's interesting about these animals is that they've adapted to succeed in their environment, and their environment is keeping away from predators. So they seek solace in these high mountain cliffs, and it's amazing what they're able to do. But this picture in particular is one thing I really love about this, and it's not the fact that the mountain goat is about to make a massive leap, or that if it doesn't execute properly could lead to life-altering consequences. And it's not the fact that he even had the faith to do it. But everybody on this call has taken a leap of faith, right? We've all taken a leap of faith in this business, in the company. And when we know what we have, then we can stand 10 feet tall, as Lawrence says, and really be confident in what we have. And so what I love about this is the fact that this goat is focused on where he's headed, right? He's taking this leap. He knows where he's going to land. He knows what his goal is ultimately. See here. Get something off of here. Okay.
Please wait while I check status.
His eyes are focused on only one thing, and that's his final destination. And that's the same thing that we do in this business, right? We want to stay focused on what we're doing, stay focused on where we're headed. We want to lead our team members in that same direction, right? And not getting caught up in the mundane things that are happening around us. There's a lot of distractions nowadays, with pandemic and all the other things that are going on, the Hurricane Ida and wildfires and everything else. So it's easy to get distracted with these other things. Not that they're not important, but we also need to keep focused on what our end goal is. And so from this picture, his eyes are focused on the final destination, right? He's not looking down, wondering if he's going to fall to his death. He's not looking behind him to see what's coming behind him. Always keeping focused on what he needs to do to survive, right? And meeting that goal of getting across this chasm. And so his focus is on one thing, the other side. And often in life, we get the courage to make this big leap. And the thing that I love about these calls is that we bring all these people together that have made this leap and are focused and goal-oriented on bringing the biophotonic scanner and our nutraceuticals to everybody that we can through through physicians, right? So, we've all made a leap to join this business, despite what you may be feeling in the present. This is a reminder to keep your head forward and your focus ahead, right? Just like this goat's doing to get where it needs to be, whether it's heading that way to get away from danger, a predator, or looking for greener pastures, whatever it may be. We have these same goals in mind, and we need to remember to always be looking forward and staying focused on what our goals are.
So when I look at this picture, I look at something different. I look at why. And I'm thinking, why would a goat do that? And I'm thinking, well, first of all, his motivation could be hunger. And hunger is something that makes us, when I say hunger, well, hunger makes us look forward and get out of our comfort zone. The other thing could be danger that is provoking him to take these risks. So in this case, it's better to run to a new pasture. Now this applies to our own businesses. It's better to run towards a new pasture, calculating the risk involved, as opposed to running away from something without even with just grabbing the first thing that comes in our businesses. So some of us are in a comfort zone of a work, of a job, and we stay there because it's comfortable. And there are not the only, but there are probably two things that would induce us to not be there. One would be that it's unsustainable financially. And the other one would be that, we're afraid of losing what we've got, or we even lose what we've got. And those are two motivating factors that would prompt us to do something that would be a quantum leap of faith. So I've always, said it's better to run to something when you calculate it rather than away from something, just grabbing the next available thing. And either way, we need courage to make a move. Faith, of course, but believing in ourselves and courage. But there's this fight or flight in case of danger, or which gives us blind faith, blind courage, or a burning desire to find a solution to a problem we might have. In this case, the goat runs out of food. And you look at this picture, and as Dan said, he's looking ahead. He's not looking to see how deep the hole is in case he falls. You don't look at that. You look at the destination. We're looking at where are we going? How are we going to get there is how he's going to propel himself, and he's going to use all of his, and I say his because he's got horns. I guess the female will do the same, but all of his focus and power and strength and everything is just on that one goal of getting to the other side. Even though on the other side, what we can see there, I don't see any grass or anything else. But he may be running away from something, or who knows. But the point is the focus and the motivation and the why he would do that.
Absolutely. Lawrence has a wristband that says no excuses, and he's given it to all of our team members, right? And so, a lot of times people are looking for excuses why not to do something rather than reasons to do something. And, what I notice with a lot of medical device reps is that a lot of them are running from something. They're not necessarily running to something. They see what's going on in the medical device field. They see, declining commission rates. And, I just heard a big company, the number 2 orthopedic company in the world this week, is taking most of the employees direct or 1099 now, rather than being direct. So they're going to be direct 1099, but what comes along with that is, they're going to lose their benefits. They're going to lose their 401k matches and all those other things. So there's a lot of disgruntled people out there. And I've had some people reach out to me in the last few days from that particular company saying, hey, things are changing. I'm tired of this. There's been a lot of changes in the last 10 years and none of them have been good for me, but rather than running from something, you have to do your due diligence and find out exactly what we have so that you can make a good decision to run towards what we have, right? And the ability to utilize your relationships or their relationships to show physicians what we have. And so, it's really easy to make excuses for why not to do something, but it's even easier if you do your due diligence to come up with reasons why to do something. So, I mentioned these distractions. These distractions aren't solely independent to us. Everybody has all of these distractions, and so it's finding out what their pain points are. And Lawrence does a fantastic job of that. But when talking about whether you should do something or run to something, we seek validation, right? And we seek validation from the company, which we have. We have excellent validation on the products, on the biophotonic scanner. But, a lot of times people want to get validation from their peers or their colleagues, their mentors. And sometimes that can be a huge distraction and create even more excuses, right? Because they don't necessarily know what we have, and they haven't taken the time. The people that they're looking for validation from don't know what we have. And that's why these meetings are important, especially the healthcare forum, because they can get everything that they want, that they need to make a decision whether or not they want to join our business or why they should continue to engage in our business.
When we look at that picture, it kind of reminds me of Martin Luther King, who said, I have a dream. He didn't look back and say, I've got an idea here, guys. Who's coming with me? He said, I have a dream. And he went forward on his dream no matter what. And he had some pretty, uphill wind face, more than just wind in the face, but he had uphill challenges. But it was a thought that was a driving force for him. And his driving force was the pain in which he believed he was living in. And he just said, I've got a dream. And he went forward and he didn't look back. And then finally, when he sort of looked over his shoulder, there were 1 million people following him. And I think that is where we have leadership, and it's based on somebody's vision. And the vision, that goat is probably the leader of the pack, maybe. And, or a pack of goats, no, what do you call it? What do you call a pack of goats?
I have no idea.
A bunch of goats? I don't know.
A herd.
A flock of goats. Maybe flock of sheep. I don't know. What is it, Martin? Flock?
It's a flock.
Flock of goats. Okay, thank you. So, so that might be the guy. That might be the Martin Luther King of those goats, who's leading the way. And we, in some ways, are leading the way for our teams. And we should, by the fact that we've made a decision, we've made a quantum leap of faith in what we're doing. Hopefully it's based on some very sound analytics, which we're putting into effect. So, I just thought, and this is another little thing that also comes to mind. I used to do corporate team building. And I remember what we did was we would get a plank about, 8 inches wide, but it was a big plank. And the big plank, we would put it on the floor, and then we would get people to volunteer to walk across the plank. And of course, everybody said, yeah, I'll do that. And they'd walk across the plank. Then we say, okay, now we're going to blindfold you and walk you across the plank. And of course, everybody said, yeah, we'll do that. Then we said, okay, now we're going to blindfold you, but we're going to lift the plank. And you're going to be on the plank, and we're going to lift the plank while you're on it. And of course, we only lifted it 6 inches, but it felt like we were lifting it to the ceiling. And then somebody would put a book on the person's head. So he thought, or she thought, they were on the ceiling. That's when they would have panic. Because when they walked across the plank on the floor, excuse me, when they walked across the plank on the floor, they had no fear because it was on the floor. And then when they thought that it was, 8 feet or 6 feet high, and they were still on that plank because somebody was holding a book on their head and they thought they were actually touching the ceiling, oh my God, a lot of them would jump off and fall off and take off the blindfold in absolute panic. And that is where we create our own fear. We actually visualize falling off the bloody plank, and we're thinking, oh my God, I want to fall on my head, all the dangers. But there was no danger when you walked across it with your eyes closed, your eyes open. even when you walked across it on a blindfold because you thought you're on the ground. It's only when we think we have fear that we might fail and fall off that we suddenly get into this panic mode. So, I'm just thinking that psychologically it's important. And what Dan said, we've got to look forward, not look down, not look sideways, not think about anything other than the destination that we're going. It's about the destination.
Absolutely. And, as you mentioned, Lawrence, a lot of these things that we're doing, both goal-oriented, leadership, working the business, a lot of those things can be visualized, and you want to visualize the success, not visualize the failure, the potential failure, right? And so, you really want to remain focused, looking forward, like Lawrence said, like I've said, towards that success that you want in this business or in life. And, I love what Jim said last week. I think it was something Pam Vickers told him, that this is a self-improvement business, or self-improvement business wrapped up in a business opportunity, something along those lines.
It's an exercise in self-improvement disguised as a business.
Disguised as a business. That's fantastic. I love that. And it's so true, because I think everybody on these calls, we're learning every day, whether it might be by reading or listening to the other leaders in this business, and that's what's exciting for me. Along the lines of Lawrence talking about the plank, I was involved in a horse leadership training, and I talked about this previously with Jerry Savage. And, one of the things that he taught us was that when there's a herd of horses, there's different leaders based on what the group's needs are, right? And we have that. So if the horse in the very front is leading them towards something, right? And then the horses in the back and on the sides are looking for danger and leading them away from something, right? That could be potentially dangerous. And so we want to always be following that lead horse, but we also have people on our calls, our leaders on our teams who are helping to keep us away from that danger and leading us in a direction towards success.
Yeah, and I think also that the fact that we need constant reminders, because we as humans tend to get distracted. And it's like the pilot on a plane, he's on his way to Rome from Miami, and he needs to tweak the flight. He needs to tweak the direction very frequently, because we've got tailwinds, side winds, headwinds, all kinds of things happening. And this is our life. This is how our lives are as well. We constantly have distractions. We have things that will get us off course. And we need to have the leadership to be able to make us stay on course. And the leadership we have is actually bolstered by the tools we have with which to work. We've got this incredible company, and we seem to take it for granted. I was down I am in fact going back there today. That's why I'm so smartly dressed. Not really, but I'm going down to an event today again, and I walk literally 10 feet tall. Why? Because mentally, I know that our company was rated among the top 100 most trustworthy companies in the US. So that makes me feel that I'm at least as good as, and probably better than, most of the companies that are there. It's only up to me to drive this Rolls Royce with a Ferrari engine. So as a leader of that goat trying to jump from one side to the other, that goat it's a leader. I'm assuming it's the leader because, I don't see any goats ahead of it. So, that's what I think leadership is about. It's about us taking these quantum leaps, which we've calculated. We can then impart our information and our knowledge with other people to help them get rid of all the busy fog that surrounds all of us in many ways. It's just life gets in the way. So I love that picture, Dan. I think it's a great one.
As leaders in our own personal businesses and leaders, among all of the different groups within Pharmanex, we need to also be able to create leaders in our downlines, right? So we need to have that leadership to lead folks in the right direction, moving forward. But we also need to have the conviction and the tools to be able to create leaders below us. Otherwise, we just get super bound up in mundane tasks on a daily basis. And we need to try and come up with a solution to get those folks up to speed as well, especially as we're bringing them on. So I was talking to a member of my team yesterday, and he was I'd like to have him on one of these Friday calls because he's new to the business, but he's really done a lot of thinking about goal setting, how he's going to approach the business. And I think it would be a super valuable tool for all of us to hear how he's going about that, because I think he's going about it from a medical device sales perspective, and how he's going to reach these quotas that he's set for himself. So super interesting. Hopefully we'll have him on a call in the coming weeks. But he's one of those guys that he has those leadership qualities. It's just bringing those leadership skills out in him for him to then lead his own team.
I think in some ways, there's a course. It's called Landmark Forum. If anybody's been on it, that's great. If they haven't, I suggest that you take a look at it. Landmark Forum is it's a program which allows us to get back into way back to when we were kids, to see what our inhibitions are today, or why we have inhibitions, or why we think in certain ways. And I'm just thinking, we all have skills of some kind. And I think many of us actually have leadership skills, but for whatever reason, we're afraid to use those skills or to apply those skills. And I think when we're offered the possibility, unlimited possibilities that we have in this business, and we see the talent and the skills that everybody else has, I think it kind of motivates and encourages us to look within ourselves to find, well, I can do that. I mean, we look and see somebody doing something, achieving something, how he did it or she did it. Well, maybe I can do that too. Well, then I'm sure I can. And we get over the cobwebs in our minds that maybe inhibit us from doing that. So leadership, I think, is something that innate in many of us, or most of us, especially on this call, obviously, yes. And it's being able to be motivated to be able to exercise that leadership, or to apply that leadership to our teams and to duplicate the teams.
Absolutely. And I was reading something this week about, people that say it must be nice. When you tell them, hey, I joined this business and I've got a lifestyle that affords me to do what I want when I want. And people say, oh, it must be nice. Or I have X amount of money. They say it must be nice, but they don't look at the things that it took to get there. They don't look at the hours that it took, 16-hour days, or working weekends or working nights, and all these different things, especially in medical device. It was, the interesting thing about med device was, I had been in the business for 25 years, and you'd have these kids coming out of college that we would hire, and they automatically thought that they should be making what you're making, and it's like, they didn't put in the hours, they didn't put in the time, they didn't cultivate the relationships, and that's what we're doing in this business. So to be successful, we do have to utilize those leadership skills and pass those leadership skills on, or bring out those leadership skills. As Lauren said, I believe everybody has certain skills that allow them to be leaders, but we need to help them cultivate those and use them to lead their own teams. I think Stephen Moore has a question.
He's got a hand up. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, great call, guys. And one of the things that I learned in the beginning, because I never looked at myself as a leader when I was 27, I really didn't have leadership skills. I was just tenacious. And if I set my mind on something, I was going to figure out how to do it. and I had a bunch of lead horses, so to speak, that I could follow in their footsteps. And one of the things that Richard taught me, because I was frustrated at 27 that people didn't want to listen to me about a business opportunity because I didn't have business experience. One of the things that he said is, what you lack in experience, you can always make up for in numbers. What you lack in experience, you can always make up for in numbers. And you guys have talked about the 4 disciplines of execution on here, and we talk about those lag and lead measures, right? What is the big goal? What are the after the fact measures that we can do, those lag measures to measure our progress? And then what are the lead measures, those things that we can do today that are very predictable and easy influenceable of us achieving our goals? And so what I really focused on was, okay, my goal is to become a blue diamond, but my immediate goal is to become a ruby. That's something that I can make progress for. And those lag measures were the comp plan. What is the next stage I need to get to in the comp plan? What is the next stage I need to help my people get to so I can progress in the comp plan? And I looked at those lag measures as progression in the comp plan. And the lead measures were the number of people I talked to a day, the number of 3-way calls I did a day, and the number of people I had in coming out to the events. And I just focus on increasing those numbers, those lead measures, much like a doctor. You know, we can talk about nutrition all the time and educate them about it, but if they don't put someone's hand on the scanner, if they don't recommend the product and convert them, it doesn't equate to any volume. So we know that the more scans the doctor does, we know the more opportunities they have to convert their patients to a product user. And we know the better they are at talking to their patients about the product and signing them up, the better their conversion rate is going to be. And it's no different than our business as well. As business builders, you know, we've got to look at what are our goals, what is the next stage or the goal in the comp plan to progress, and then are we hitting these lead measures every day? You know, are we actually taking what we're thinking about and putting it into massive action? And when we start to do the action, we can make up for what we lack in experience, what we lack in good contacts, and we develop our skill set a lot faster. And that builds our confidence and ultimately creates our success. So my challenge to you guys would be is look at the comp plan. What is the next stage to get to for you and your team? And how many people are you going to talk to today? How many 3-way calls are you going to do today? And track that on a daily basis. And when you're consistent at doing those daily activities, you're going to see your businesses just take off.
I would say this, you know, I agree with you, Steve. However, I differ a little bit in something. I think, you know, we're talking about leadership and we're not talking about how many calls I can make. We could talk about how many calls we can help our teams make, how we can help our teams progress, because, you know, leadership is not just being the first goat across the thing there, you know, to jump across that chasm or abyss or whatever we called it. It's about being able to find a way for the rest of the goats to follow. And if we lead the way, and I agree with you, yes, it's up to us to lead and say, I was able to make 10 calls today. And if I could make 10 calls, there's no reason why you can't make 3 calls or you can't make 12 calls. So I think it's about the whole point of leadership, in my opinion, is about being able to motivate people, to let them find their level of excellence and their levels of skills. And of course, we lead the way by ourselves doing the calls and ourselves making progress. But it's also how we can help each one of our members.
100%. So it's all about how much every single person on the team, are they progressing through the comp plan, and are they doing those daily activities to drive them towards progressing in the comp plan? So yeah, as leaders, you know, Lawrence, you're a blue diamond, so you've got a different vantage point of the business. And if we look at all the people that are not blue diamonds, they're not rubies, they're just getting started, whatever point there is, you know, the engine that drives them forward is those 3-way calls and those exposures that they do. And I agree with you 100%. As leaders, you know, it's not just about what we do, but it's helping our other people accomplish those things that allowed us to be successful as well.
Yeah.
It's about showing people what we're doing as leaders,
Right.
having them follow suit, right? Doing the same thing that we're doing. And the other thing I like about what Stephen said was, when he was 27, he was thinking about what am I going to do to elevate my business. And his main goal was to become Blue Diamond. But at that point, that's so far out of reach that if you set your goals too lofty, they can be distractions, right? And so, his backup goal was be Ruby, which is ultimately leading to his ultimate goal of becoming Blue Diamond.
Right.
Well, it's
All right, thank
10:04,
you.
Lawrence. Do you want to take some additional questions?
And
Comments?
if anybody's got any questions, or anybody wants to add anything, please do so.
Hey, I have just one question, you guys. I always get stuck to the point of actually getting on that third party validation call. I'll get them talking to me and I'll send them some information, and then it's just, it's for some reason I'm looking for somebody's guidance on what the verbiage is or what's the best way to, kind of move them forward to a third party validation call.
Dan, you want to answer that one?
I mean, it's really pretty simple. It's just basically asking. A lot of times, we talk about this business as a sales opportunity or business opportunity, but a lot of times in sales, people get caught up on the simplest thing, right? The simplest thing to do is to ask for that next step, or ask them to progress in the sales cycle, right? And you're just asking a question, right? The worst thing that they can do is say no. So the way I approach that is I say, hey, I may reach out to Michael or Lawrence and say, hey, I'm getting on this call, or I'll text them mid-call and say, hey, can you call me? And then they'll call and I'll say, hey, one of my colleagues is on the phone. I'd like to introduce you to them. So that's one way of getting them on a three-way call. The other way
Okay, that's a good way. I like that one.
Yeah, because then it's just what kind of seems organic. Like, hey, he just called. I need to talk to him. You might as well, I'd like to introduce you to him while we're on the call. So that's one way to do it. The other way to do it is just ask them, hey, would you have some time that we can get on a call with one of my colleagues? I'd really like to introduce you to one of our team members, and have them give you their perspective on this business, so you're not just hearing it from me.
Right, and I've done that before, Dan. I don't want to keep up more of you guys' time, but thank you. That was brilliant. I like right that. Perfect. Thank you.
Don't overthink it. Just as natural as possible. And that's a way that, coincidentally, I've got this call from my business partner.
Yep. It's pretty.
I'd like you to meet him. That's all.
Yep.
Anything else? All right. So Friday afternoon, guys, not too much partying tonight. Thanks for being on the call. Blessings to you, and hope everybody has a good weekend, and be safe. And we look forward to seeing you all on Monday on the Monday morning call, and then on the Wednesday call as well.
Thanks, everybody. Have a great weekend.
Thanks, everybody. Bye.
Blessings,
Thank
everybody.
you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, guys.
Yes, bye.
Thank
Bye-bye. Thank you.